Morning guys, welcome to the channel. I hope you're all well. I'm keeping very well. I'm up early in the hopes that the wind dies out and I can get to go fishing for a few hours. Um, so pardon me for drinking my coffee and probably having a little vape while I talk you through some of the new tackle available in store at seabassfishingireland.com. So the great news is we have a new website on the way, which will be much more accessible, less glitchy, none of the problems we've had before. For our UK customers, there will be no VAT, so it's up to the UK government to charge you VAT. So you'll be able to buy from the site without fear of getting hit for extra money and all the rest of it. So it'll make us competitive in the UK, which is fantastic news. And just generally a more professional site. You'll also be able to book guiding, etc. through the site, right? And you'll be able to buy these guys. So I started to pour double shots, so you can see chartreuse and white in the power slide. Absolutely gorgeous, right? It's just lovely and so effective, so simple, so effective. You know, I was talking to Henry Gilby yesterday and he said to me, why is it better than the Do Live stick? And I said, well, number one, it's cheaper. Number two, it casts further, and I actually believe the action to be better, right? It's a different type of bait. It's not a subtle, like, you know, you can fish it in a subtle way, but you can also fish it quite hard. So it's jerk, 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 pause, jerk, 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 pause, and it's on the pause that the fish will hit the lure. And you know, particularly with these guys here. So if you fish them with the permalocks, right, which are weighted, tungsten weighted in the nose, right, on the pause, the lure drops down like that and the tail waggles as it goes. So it looks like an injured sandeel or whatever, right? You can also fish it. I mean, I fished it really slow, dead slow retrieve, and had takes. I mean, there's just an endless amount of ways that you can present that lure to a bass. Where I found it to be exceptional is in the estuary and on the open beach. I mean, it just, you know, you can fish it on a jig head, you can fish it weightless, you know. I caught stripers on it. I mean, I just can't fault the lure, really, you know. I mean, I'm not blowing my own trumpet because I didn't design the lure, I just built it, right? So other lures that I got in. So as I've said to you many times before, I always keep a very close eye on the American largemouth bass scene, right? Because those guys are fishing for big money, right? So if something is good and something is working, right, they will be on top of it, right? And one company in particular stands out, and that's Raid Japan, right? And I got these guys in, right? It's the Raid Battle Hog creature bait. Okay, now that's actually on a 4-0 hook. So if you can see, let me get stand up here so you can see the size. Oh, it's tracked to my face. Hang on. You can see the size of the bait, right? Now that's going to capture a bass's attention. So how do you fish those guys? Well, it's pretty much a sink and draw. Sorry, now I just have to get the camera to rebehave itself. There we go. it's pretty much a sink and draw, right? So you just lift and let it flutter down again. Lift and let it flutter down again. I am not particularly a huge fan of creature bait fishing. I find it a little boring, right? I'm a top water person. But having said that, right, when I'm out there in the flats and stuff and I spy a big fish, having one in my front pouch and clicking it on and casting it and knowing it's sitting there and watching with the low light glasses to see if the fish creeps in to grab it. Now that's exciting, right? And I haven't had the chance yet, but I will this week on the big tides. I'm going to go up to an estuary in South Wexford where I believe I can catch gilthead bream on those bad boys, right? Particularly if I add our friend Halco sent. Hang on, just let me show you which one I'm using again. So I'm using the freshwater and estuary, right? Camera keeps jumping because it's on face track and I'm going to take it off face track. So freshwater and estuary, right? Why? Well, because a very good angler I know, Clive Power, told me he'd been using it and that one lasts a lot longer than the saltwater one, and then it's a lot better. And certainly that has been my experience, is that it does last a lot longer and it certainly catches fish. I mean, I noticed the difference using the power slide with it and without it, right? I was fishing the small version of these guys one day. Well, that's not true actually. I fished a number of lures over a mark that usually holds one or two good fish, and that's it. And then you're done. You have about an hour's fishing there. I got a bump, so I knew there was a fish there, and I said, "Okay, what am I going to do?" So I was rummaging through my bag looking for the right lure. There was a lot of weed. I'm in an estuary, you know, I need something that I can present to this fish. And I found a 3-inch version of that guy, which is the Dark Sleeper in Mutsuguru. I think it was a 3/4 ounce. So I cast it out and I just slowly crossed the bottom and dunk, 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 and he didn't take it. He was just a tail puller. And I thought, bugger, how am I going to get this guy? And eventually then I took out the Halco. I smeared a good bit of Halco onto the bait and I threw it out there and I just let it bump very slowly down in the current, and I got a savage pull, bang, and it was into a nice 5-pound fish. I got 5 fish within the next hour with the same method. So you know, for me, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, right? Does it work? Yeah, absolutely it does, right? Just to let you know, we're not stopping at the power slide, right? So we are going to have a whole range of baits, okay? What I think is missing from particularly you know, homemade baits is a small little paddle tail, right? You hear me talking about downsizing quite a bit, right? Now, a lot of the bait is small, right? So it makes sense to fish small baits, right? But sometimes when you're fishing small baits, what will happen is, especially from the boat, right, is there'll be a whole raft of schoolies underneath you. You know what? By schoolies I mean 3-pound fish, right? And the bigger fish are sat underneath them, and what they're doing is they're feeding on the deadfall, right? So if the schoolies get on a shoal of sprat, right, they just absolutely nail them, and the birds are nailing it, everything's nailing this bait ball, and what's dead just falls to the bottom and the big fish just pick it off, right? So your job is to get through those schoolies and get to the bottom. So that's not always possible using a small bait, right? So I've got the new Duo BR Waver, right? Now I'm going to be fishing that primarily. It's 30 grams, right? I'm going to be fishing that on the 852 heavy from Favourite. Now I've heard whispers of, you know, kind of, oh, Favourite rods breaking and all the rest of it. You know, yeah, I've had a couple of tips broke on customers, but I wouldn't say that's a reason to stop buying them. And like, tips break on all rods. And the truth is, like, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way towards my customers, but you have no idea what happened to that rod when you had it in the back of your van, or when you this or that, or if it got a bang somewhere, or you fell, or whatever. Like, you know, in Favourite's defense, they make absolutely gorgeous fishing rods. If you haven't fished the 852 heavy, like, it is without shadow of a doubt the most versatile rod I've ever fished. Like, it's a rod that you can fish a 7-gram batchy head on, right, with an X layer, and then turn around and take a 40-gram jig and, I mean, hit it out into the surf, right? I also have a new producer of needles. I will show you those when they arrive. They're absolutely gorgeous. Just the finish on them, like the colors. I know, I don't know if any of you follow a guy called GB Luring from Greece. He catches some mighty fish, like he really does. But he uses them. I think the two guys are friends or whatever. But they just look exceptional, and they're extremely good value. And he seems like a really nice guy. So it's that time of year when the fish now begin to really focus on the sandeel, right? And initially, sort of August, September, the sandeel are quite small, right? So I've gotten in a selection of X layers, and I've gotten in a bunch of different colors, right? Including, like, classic, I've got the IUs, right? You know, but I've also got tinsel brown, arcane, dark melon pepper. I mean, why? Well, why get different color lures, right? Because light conditions on any given day are different, and you never know. Like, nobody really knows what way bass see color. Like, why is it that a bass will absolutely hammer that? Like, you know, they're obviously not seeing that green the same way we are, right? So that's why I got the different colors in, because I thought, okay, you know, who knows, right? I just have the utmost faith in the X layer. So let's talk a bit about fishing the X layer. Like, how do you fish it, right? Well, how many ways can you skin a cat, right? You can fish the X layer on a weedless hook, like the one I just showed you. So you simply rig it up. Well, let's rig one up just for argument's sake, right? Let's take off this battle hog, okay? And so there you go, decoy 4.0, available on the site. It's got about a gram and a half of weight. Let's take tinsel brown X layer, right? I mean, look at that. The amount of flash in it and everything, absolutely gorgeous, right? So I'm going to need my glasses for this job. So you just take your little screw fix, nice into the middle, screw it in. Okay, so I'm going to hook it through the flat side, right? Why am I going to do that? I'm going to hook it through the flat side because I primarily fish shallow water, right? So I want that lure to fall really slowly. Okay, I want it to fall as slowly as possible. So if I hook it on the flat side, it will fall slowly. If I decide no, I'm getting hammered by schoolies or whatever, I want to get to the bottom faster, I have two options, right? I can add a chabuska, which I have coming in a whole range of weights, which is a little clip-on weight, or I can turn it around, and as well I can turn it around, hook it through the other way, and then it has far less water resistance, right? Now also, if I want to fish it jerkbait style, right? So if I'm fishing it in extremely shallow water and I don't want to get it to the bottom, and I'm going to fish it quite quickly with like tap, 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 pause, tap, tap, pause, tap, 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 pause, tap. And so getting it to dart from side to side. That's the way I'll rig it, right? I mean, look at that. That's a thing of beauty. That really is, right? So that's one way to fish it, right? Now, the other way I have great success, and I mean really off the chart success with this lure, is by using decoy batches. So I carry batches, I carry them in 5, 7 and 10 grams with me while I'm fishing, right? And I find that no matter what state of tide, how fast or how slow the current is going, if I've got a 5, a 7 and a 10, it will cover me and it will enable me to get the bait to move at the same speed as everything else that's getting washed down by the tide, right? So if you think about it, what bass do is they will find a spot where they can kind of hide or certainly give themselves some cover, right? That's close to the bait lanes, right? Which is the spots where the bait is getting washed out of the estuary, for example, or over a reef, right? That'll hang on the side of the reef. That head gets that lure to sit up like that and just waggle enticingly, right? It looks like a sandeel that's, I don't know if you've ever seen a sandeel buried in the sand. They bury tail first, right? So their heads just stick up, right? But it looks like a sandeel that's whatever. So it just trots down, right? Now the other lure that I find incredibly successful and doesn't get a whole lot of attention in this country, but I fish all the time. I love it. It's so simple. Is the haze tongue. This thing is an absolute fish killer. Look at that. Like, it's just such a good sandeel imitation. When you see it in the water, when you see the action of it, it's just incredible. right? And again, I'll fish it on the batchy head. And we're getting to that time of year when the weed dies out now and you're able to trot baits along the bottom. And it is just such an exciting way to fish. It really is, right? So there's a competition on at the moment. Uh, in that there will be some X layers, there'll be some power slides, there'll be some of the haze dongs, there'll be some creature baits, and there'll be some hooks, right? There'll be two, well, maybe only one type of creature bait, depending on whether I get my tackle wave order in time or not. Did I get anything else in from Ultimate that I want to show you? Yes, I did indeed, actually. So the light whacker dead claw is back. I always put one of these away from myself because I'm just always afraid that I'll run out of them. In clear water, it is by far the most effective Z claw. Now, if you've got a bit of tinge in the water, right, then I like to use the IU. Now, honestly, I believe either will work, right? It's probably all in my head, but if it's in your head, what happens is it affects how you fish, right? Like if you have super confidence in a lure, like for example, and this needs a new set of hooks, by the way, so don't be giving out to me saying, oh, blah, 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 blah. Right. The Pachinko 140. I mean, honestly, one of the best surface lures ever made. I mean, I've had so many fish on that lure. And you can fish that thing at speed, right? But if you have confidence in what you're fishing, right, then you'll fish it differently. You'll be more focused, you'll concentrate, you'll be like, okay, I could get a slap here any minute, right? Do you ever get to a mark and, you know, when you get there, you're excited and you're like, okay, here we go. And, you know, 2 hours later, you're still flogging the water and spirits start to flag. And it's like, oh, Jesus, what are we doing here? Like, you know, because we're not going to get to anything, you know. So that's what I mean. Like, once your confidence goes, right? Now, look, I fish from the boat, and fair play to the lads who like to boat fish, right? But I am primarily a shore fisherman, and in truth, you can't compare a double figure bass or 70 centimeter bass from the boat to one caught from the shore. They're not the same thing, right? It's like from the boat. I mean, I could go out this morning, I could put the ducky in, I could go to a certain spot, I could throw the anchor, and I guarantee you I'd have 70s in the boat, you know, by the middle of the morning, definitely. But to me, after a while, it becomes like shooting fish in a barrel, you know. You got the Helix Pro, you can see them, you can just drive around and find them, and, you know, it's a bit easy, right? I like being out on the coastline with my boots on, bag strapped down, glasses on, hat on, you know, my camera running, you know. That for me is the hunt, right? It's the possibility that that next cast could be the 13-pounder you're looking for, right? I want to show you a little bait. Look at that guy. That's a 3-inch fish roller from Raid again, right? And that is exceptional. When you retrieve that in a straight retrieve, that's what it does. It goes like that. Okay, they were actually designed for mid-strolling, right? So pushing the hook, you know, it's got a weighted hook and it goes slightly further back in, but you can equally fish it just as well Now that's on a 5 gram batchy head. Like I guarantee you, when I'm sight fishing the lagoons and flats, I spy a bass and I cast that to him with a bit of scent on it, and I just leave it sit. It sits like that, and I just twitch the slightest little twitch across the top of the bottom of the water, and it sends up a little puff of sand, right? And the vibration gets the bass's attention, right? And over they come, and if they like the look of it, they'll have it. And let's be honest, what's not to like, right? I mean, it's exceptional. Sorry about the state of my hands, by the way. Didn't get a chance. Get cleaned up last night. I've been working just flat out. It takes an awful lot to start a business, especially when you started it by selling your car. I mean, I had no capital whatsoever. So there's the new 4.5 inch dark sleeper in Donko, and there it is in Mutsugoro. So I have a few of those in. They're going up online today, and those are just going to be lethal. They weigh 28 grams. They measure 4.5 inches. They're not as bulky in a way as the 3-inch ones, right? So as you can see, they've kept the bulk, but they've just got a longer, skinnier tail, which means you're going to be able to work that bait very slowly, and that tail will continue to beat away, right? Really, really, really incredible lure, right? I'm going to do a series. Of top 10 lures for the year, right? I got in some old favorites, right? The Asturi 130, right? In dark awashi. I mean, it just hammers fish, right? And fish that at speed, right? That's a search bait. Okay, it's intended to be fished fast. Now you don't have to fish it fast. You can fish it slow, right? But it's intended to be fished fast, right? And then finally, a new soft plastic bait in from Duo. Very similar to the Power Slide. Actually, why I bought it, to be honest, because I wanted to have a look at it. I was like, Jesus Christ, that's very similar to what you're producing, right? So that's definitely going to work, right? I haven't fished it yet. I'll let you know how I get on with it. Obviously, I won't sell anything I haven't fished, right? So I'll let you know how I get on with it. I'm going to fish it this morning. And finally, we have at last got the BR heads back in 12 grams. So really happy about that. So a really nice little selection. I started to buy kind of smaller little lots because I found I was getting kind of stuck with, you know, tackle, and I don't have enough money to kind of hold that, if you like, you know. I'm not like Southside Angling or something that's been running for 30 years and has a big budget and stuff, you know. I'm just one guy who got sick and decided to have a try at something. Now, thankfully, the guiding business is just starting to boom. Like, I mean, I'm just booking every day I take a new booking. So if you want to fish, get a hold of me quickly, right? Because all the good dates are getting booked. Just boom, boom, boom. So that's it for this morning, guys. I hope that was helpful. Hopefully it was useful. Oh, sorry, one more lure I want to show you, because it's joey season, right? The mackerel are in. That's the Fish Hut Wobbly. Now, to my mind, that leaves the Savage Gear Seeker in the halfpenny place. I mean, look at it. Right? It's not a metal bait, but it fishes like one. Okay? It's a hard lure, but if you cast it out and just retrieve it straight back, it just waggles like that. And with that pattern at this time of year, like say down on Tremor when there's a bit of surf running, or you know, along the headlands there, or out on the Copper Coast when the mackerel start to show, that's gonna get the job done, right? As is. Oh, sorry, yeah, I almost forgot, right? Still got lots of pays, minnows, and all that in store, right? But look at this guy. This is the Joker, right? Now I noticed it's from Exorus. I noticed one of the Ultimate Fishing Guides had it in his top 10, and he also had this, which I'd fished for years, right? It's the ZBL minnow from Zip Baits. And he also had the 90S from Duo, which I've also fished for years, right? As has Paul Burns, who I bumped into recently. I didn't know he was buying lures off me. We used to fish together 20 years ago, and I didn't know who I was talking to. And suddenly I put it together. It's like, Paul, that's Paul and Damien that we used to fish together, you know. So this gas was great to talk to him, like really lovely fella. So Paul is getting back into his fishing, so he's getting some bits and pieces put together. But I digress. Anyway, the Joker. There it is, in anchovy. Now, again, I bought this primarily for the boat, right? You can see it's got quite a bit of lip on it, right? So I want to get it down, right? But I would fish that from the shore, no problem. Absolutely no problem. Especially over some of the deeper ground and the gutters and the gullies. You know, just cast it to the end of the gully and give it a pull. Let it rise back up again. Let it rise back up again. Fish it a bit like you'd fish the Vision 110. Now, I don't know what's going on, but I have Vision 110s on the site for €28 and they're not selling. They're €46 to buy. So if you're a trout fisherman, a big trout fisherman, or indeed a bass fisherman, or indeed a salmon fisherman, and you don't grab yourself a Vision 110 while they're at that price, to my mind, you're nuts. They're an insanely good lure. Like, now, I don't want to charge $46.50 for a Vision 110. I think it's over the top, right? So I have them down now, just a few in stock, and they're reduced to clear. I'm allowed to run a summer sale, so I'm running a summer sale, and at the minute it's the Vision 110 in Waxahachie. It's absolutely gorgeous. I haven't got one to hand, I don't think. I might have one in this box here. No, I've got some kind of reason in here. Oh, that's hang on. It's a Vision, all right. Just need my glasses again. Oh yeah. No, it's not the same color, right? It's the Waxahachie I have, which is slightly purple, right? I use these fishing for big brown trout, right? I also use them fishing for bass, right? But I'm gonna put singles on that guy now. There was a terrible fish kill on Sheelan this year, you know. I was absolutely devastated. Like, we did quite a bit of big brown trout fishing up there with Mr. Pike, Gabby, a nicer guy you will not meet, you know. He's got a lovely boat there. I love the name of it. He called it Refuse to Blank, right? And by Jesus, does he fish hard. He really goes for it. Like, he he really hammers it. He tries his absolute best to put you over fish, and you can see the excitement in Gabby when you get on the fish. Like he gave me, we went up to Shannon one day pike fishing. Now this was for free, we were just fishing as buddies, and it was the brightest, hottest day of the year, right? So early on, fishing the hillbilly, which is like a tail bait from Strike Pro. I really like it. It's kind of like a buster jerk with a long curly tail on it. I let it hit the bottom, and there was a bit of flow, and I just give it one twitch, bang! I was into a really solid fish. I got it right up to the edge of the boat and just saw it under the boat, and then boom, gone. I was like, oh shit. You know yourself, you feel like throwing the rod and everything in the water. You're like, you know that feeling in your stomach when you lost a good fish. And it turned out to be the only fish I hooked that day. But I watched Gabby fishing, right? Because I knew he's a better pike angler than I am. I only dip my toe into pike fishing, right? He managed to winkle out 5 or 6, I think, that day, and he downsized, right, to the smaller guppy, the gold one, and I mean he literally was just tipping it, and it would slide off, slide back, so slowly, and just letting it wobble right on the bottom, and then next thing, ooh, fish on. Now, there weren't big fish. I think we got one over 100. They were mostly 90s, but he did an incredible job. To watch him to fish was an absolute pleasure. Like, I learned a lot from just watching him. You know, just slow it right down, give them loads of time. You know, let it wobble in front of them. I don't know actually why we don't fish more jerkbaits for bass, you know. Might be something I might look into, you know, making a hard plastic jerkbait. Just, you know, jerk, 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 pause, wobble. They'd absolutely hammer, right? Now, no doubt there are some great jerkbaits out there for bass, and I just don't know about them, right? So that's it, guys. So competition is up and running. You gotta follow the YouTube channel, like and share the post on Insta or Facebook, and tag 2 of your fishing buddies. I'm just about to put it up on Instagram. I have it up on Facebook. I'm gonna put it on Instagram now. And it's just a nice little bundle of soft lures for the autumnal fishing, right? Aimed at the sandeel. And there will be in that bundle some power slides and a pack of BKK armor point hooks, right? So until then, tight lines, keep her lit. Hope everyone is well. Thanks again for all your support.